18 guns being analyzed in the Evidence Bureau that our outstanding police officers, through quality police work, have removed from the gun-touting criminals that plague our community. This work was accomplished over the last 10 weeks. This is just one of the many initiatives taken during my term as mayor to fight crime, and particularly drug and gang violence that plague so many communities in the Hudson Valley. We've joined with federal agencies to enhance our efforts. We have increased police foot patrols. We have created a crime tip line at the police department to make it easier for for citizens of our city to report suspicious activity. We are installing new surveillance cameras in high-crime neighborhoods. And despite massive cutbacks in state and federal aid to our city, I am proud to say that during my term as mayor, we have kept our police department at full force. And while we all know that any crime is one crime too many, I also today want to commend the hard work and dedication of the men and women in blue. Recently, the New York State Division of Criminal Justice reported that violent crime in the city is down 30% during the last 6 months. The drugs, guns, and criminals that have been moved off our streets are the direct result of our City of Poughkeepsie police force and the hard work of so many dedicated professionals. The progress that has been made would not have happened had the members of our department turned their heads. We as a city, better than any other, know too well the dangers of gun violence and the danger that our officers face on a daily basis. And for this, I thank them and commend them for their service in serving and protecting the residents of our city. I'd also like to thank District Attorney Grady for being on here today. And now I will hand it over to Police Chief Ron Knapp for further details regarding the guns that are before you. Chief?
The captain is passing out some information on the specifics of the guns that were seized in the last 10 weeks. Roughly, there are 18 crime guns that were seized. This is an unusually high amount for us, and it's a multitude of efforts that has resulted in these seizures. For instance, in some of these cases, there were tips from the public. Some of them were the result of the new tip program that we put in place in April 2010. I handed out a sheet on that to remind people that we offer a reward for any gun that is turned into us, any illegal handgun, a crime gun as we call them. It's $250 for the recovery of a weapon, or if an arrest is made, then it's $500. The last gun that was turned in on this program was just last night. We had a handgun that was surrendered to us. It obviously was a crime gun, and that is in the process now. Previous to this, there were 6 guns that were turned over under the TIP program, and that was through the end of June. We've already had 4 to 5 handguns that are being processed under the TIP program now since July 1st, where Project Impact now has taken over the funding of that program because it's been so successful here in the city. Obviously, we're not happy about the number of guns that are seized because every one of these is a potential victim to either a member of the community or to our own officers. And we're always concerned when there's a seizure of a gun. Many of these are a result of foot pursuits, which place our officers in the direct line of fire. But fortunately for us, we've been very lucky that we haven't encountered suspects up to this point that have tried to use the guns against the officers. But as you can see, these are very expensive weapons, the majority of them, and also have different calibers, which is of concern to us all. We encourage the public to keep calling in the tips, and obviously we're proud of the efforts that our own officers, the men and women, have made in the recovery of these weapons. Every one has its own story, which you'll see in the sheets that were handed out. Okay. I don't know if Mr. Grady, as the district attorney, wants to add anything to it, so I'll open it up to him.
Thank you, Chief. I think it's appropriate just to let you know with regard to the status of these cases. All of the offenders involved with regard to the seizure of these guns are either in the pre-indictment or the post-indictment stage. But I'd like to take the opportunity at this time to compliment not only the mayor but the chief and his department for an outstanding job done with regard to the issue of taking a more proactive approach to the very serious issue that plagues our community. And I say that because all too often we realize that law enforcement responds to crimes being committed, more specifically either burglaries or robberies or crimes of violence. And as a result of these incidents, of course, offenders are arrested and prosecuted, and the weapons used to commit those crimes, of course, confiscated. But in every one of these cases, there was no separate independent crime of violence being committed. It was simply a consequence of aggressive work by the police. The chief outlined for you the different circumstances under which all of these weapons were seized. And I would say that my department, we have a special prosecutor assigned to work specifically with the police department through Project Impact, and he has now the responsibility of handling these prosecutions. So whereas other communities in the valley, as we know, are experiencing violent crime, I think it's not only a credit to the police department, but also to the community with regard to their efforts to make sure that the police become aware of tips that could lead to the confiscation of weapons. So I would think that the number of weapons served should also serve as a reminder to the community that their input into the law enforcement effort in this regard is so very important and cannot be ignored, and they have to be commended and encouraged to continue to supply the police department with tips that could lead to seizure of weapons such as this. The backgrounds on these individuals range anywhere from first-time offenders to offenders who have serious violent felony backgrounds. So it was just a question of time before these weapons would have probably been used to commit more serious violent crimes. So again, Chief, it's a credit to you and your department for the outstanding job that you've done, and we will, from this point on, of course, be presenting these cases to the grand jury, some of which I outlined already have been. Thank you.